But I spoke a little bit about this zeitgeist that you're referring to, this palpable affinity that we have for the way in which science and innovation can really inspire a generation. And the analogy that I brought up was, well, when I was a kid, when I was a 5-year-old kid, when I went back to school, I buy a NASA lunchbox. Right, every year I got excited about lunchbox. I bought a NASA lunchbox, as often as not, and that's really funny when you think about it. I bought a lunchbox that was branded after an American, giant bureaucratic organization, so why, why is that? I think
So
fundamentally,
you're the dreams of what you thought it was, rather than the ins and outs of the bureaucratic nature.
totally, and what does it represent? Sure, there's all this exploration, and sure that there's, hey, we walked on the moon, that's amazing, but I think actually, more critically, what NASA represents is this tireless pursuit of truth and the protection of civilization through that truth, right? That truth that they discovered, has implications for MRI machines, has implications for everything from Velcro to Tang. NASA actually contributed to that, and arguably, it destroyed the most violent and terrifying regime on the face of the planet, which was the Soviet Union. Unequivocally, nobody's died from any cause in the history of the planet more than those at the hands of the Soviets. And so, when you look at the NASA, you look at a NASA lunchbox, you think, okay, cool. They just want to go and explore. I think it's deeper than that. I think we want to believe in the institution of truth, and that truth, pursuing that scientifically, can not only create, can give us free will, right, by giving us an understanding of our ecosystem, but it can actually give us dominion over our ecosystem, because those truths afford us the flexibility to really own our own domain. And what I always tell our team at Valkyrie is that, I was a kid buying a NASA lunchbox because of the shuttle and, Apollo missions that happened decades before I was born. I wonder if our kids or our kids' kids are going to buy are going to buy Valkyrie lunchboxes because of what we're able to accomplish in this laboratory.
So it's funny because you think about what the kids are exposed to. And I'll say so. My 10-year-old has, they do this kind of thing called the wax museum, where they all do their different famous people, and they do a 2-minute speech. And he wanted to do Sam Altman because he thinks AI is so interesting, and constantly he jokes about wanting to break AI and find its limits. And for me, you were doing NASA lunchboxes, and I became obsessed with DNA. So all of us kind of have those early stage things that we find and want to push and it's funny, the search for truth, I think about it as pushing the frontier. And I think we're at that moment again to kind of keep pushing it. And I think whatever we can say, the great stagnation happened, right? And in the 1971 and whatever, the famous line, whatever happened in 1971. But I think it's coming back, right? And I think that a lot of it's exciting times for us, and I think it's exciting times for our children, and all the things that are possible going forward. I want to go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think you hit it right on the head with Oppenheimer. Here's a 3-hour documentary with really one action scene the whole time, and it was pitted against some really big movies. It clobbered Barbie, and you would have thought a cynic 3 years ago would have said, "There's no way that a 3-hour movie produced, with a bunch of actors, only a couple of which are well known, it's going to outperform one of the most pulp-oriented films that I can remember." You wouldn't have believed that, right? And I think you're spot on that this pendulum of inspiration is swinging back into a place where people really they crave that at their core. And it wasn't that long ago. It wasn't that long ago at all that Americans had more, there were more season pass holders at the opera than Major League Baseball. That's two generations ago. My grandfather would have remembered